Good morning, it's Lupe, Classic Hits, 92.7, 95.3. Joining us in the Street Beat studio, Vickie Hogarth of Newsbreak 26 on CHCO-TV and more. And here's what's happening in our part of the world.
Oh, thank you, Lupe.
That's my line.
That's my line. What's happening in Washington County? I'll take yours. How about that? It's a pleasure to be in your studio today and talk to your listeners, which I feel like we kind of share an audience in a lot of ways, being a border community.
Oh, definitely. Well, I'm excited for you to be here too. I've been trying to get you over here, but things just didn't work out for us over here. So let's get right into it. And my first question I wanted to ask is, when people recognize you in public, what's the funniest thing they usually say?
The funniest thing people say when they see me on the streets, especially in St. Andrews, is "Where's Maud?" That's my dog's name. Oh. And because of my social media presence, if anyone follows me on Facebook or Instagram, my dog is in pretty much every photo or behind-the-scenes shots. She's on camera a lot on some of our other shows, sometimes totally by accident, but we often leave her cameos unedited, just leave them right in there. So yeah, they ask me where my dog is, or if I'm with my dog, it's usually who's walking who. Yeah.
They usually say to me is, I thought you were taller.
I get sometimes, the worst is when they say, oh, you're better looking in person. Like, what? How do I look on screen then? Yeah.
Well, it is different. It is different. You definitely do look better in person.
Thank you.
Somehow. Maybe it's the dimensions.
Lighting.
So what's the moment you knew you wanted to be in front of the camera instead of behind one?
The funny thing is, I started my career in print. So I worked in magazines for a long time before. What happened was I was working in Toronto, mostly in entertainment and fashion magazines. And long story short, I lost my hair. I had an infection, came home to New Brunswick.
Oh, wow.
Thought I was just taking a little break and was heading right back to Toronto. Turned out there was this TV station, CHCO-TV, in the community. A friend of mine from way back when was a host of TV Bingo, and I had all these connections to this place, and I went to check it out, and I couldn't leave. It just felt like here is this beautiful media outlet in a part of the world I love, doing incredible things with very minimal amount of people, mostly volunteers, little studio in the arena, and it just had this incredible presence, and it served a purpose. Whereas, I think before I really loved I would get to go to the Emmys in LA or Fashion Week in New York, and it was fun. But when the older I get, I want to do something that has a more meaning for me, that gives back. And so to serve a community in these meaningful ways that we do is really special. Although I never thought the most famous I would ever be is in rural New Brunswick. So there's that. So that was that brought me on camera. So my nerves were not great at first for being on TV. Took me a while to warm up to the idea of being on camera and not feeling like I could just go back to my own room and write the story the way I wanted to. But I like a challenge, and it's really been special to try a new thing at this stage in my life too.
What's one story you covered that still makes you smile every time you think about it?
Oh my goodness. Last year, a story that makes me smile whenever I think about it would have to be a cold plunge challenge that a guy named Kyle, he calls himself Kyle the Drifter. You might know him if you follow big personalities in this part of the world online. He was doing a 100-day challenge, doing a cold plunge every day of 2025, 100 days in a row, staying in the water starting January 1st for 3 minutes. I've never done this in my life. I got invited online. There started to be a whole movement to get the news team out to go for one of the last plunges. And then it became a whole thing. Well, the news person has to do it too. So I'm up for a challenge, but look at me. I look like a cat in a bath in water. I was like, I'm not going to last 3 minutes. So I was very proud of myself. We went over to Grand Manan, got in the bay I think it was around this time last year that I did it. So yeah, it was around day 90, so a little later, but this cold. And got in there, stayed 3 minutes, enjoyed it so much I did it again. So I think about that a lot, and it makes me smile. And then other than that, I would say we did a fundraiser for Swallowtail Lighthouse, also on Grand Manan, and just the group of people that we got to work with when we did that. They are my friends to this day. We just lost Ken Ingersoll, the lightkeeper. And so that, people touch your heart in really special ways in this part of the world. And yeah, it's not like interviewing someone on a red carpet, but it's actually more special to me because these are the people that shape where you live, that are the reason your community is what it is. So people touch you in ways you just don't expect, whether you're like in the water for 3 minutes and in March for the food bank on Grand Manan doing a fundraiser, or teaming up with people that become your new group of friends because you all care about saving a lighthouse. It's just incredible what we get to do.
You can make a real difference in the area that you live in, and you can see it. Yeah. So after that, let's talk about the bloopers. What blooper would you be in?
I have so many bloopers that there is a file on the computer that I believe will be used against me at some point. I'm not sure what bribe I will have to see these again. They will be resurrected. The worst one was in the pandemic. We would do the live updates. Everyone was getting used to doing these live updates every day where you'd be at your news desk and then for us, we would talk to the premier of the province and the chief medical officer. And I would start the show live on TV at the studio and talk about what we were likely to hear that day, what questions we'd be asking, and we'd wait for us to go live into the Fredericton office. But I had a wardrobe malfunction on live television that haunts me to this day. And I could see, when you're on live TV, you can see yourself across the room. And I could also see a online feed of what people were saying. And I wasn't really looking at the camera, but I just saw someone say, "Her top is falling off," and the button had broke off my shirt. And then I don't know how I was trying to fix it while it was happening, but it was falling right off, and I could just see my face turn beet red. So that was like the worst moment because I was watching the conversation happen at the same time. And then other than that, it's in the blooper reel. It didn't air on TV. Was a painting fell off the wall on a mayor in the middle of an interview, which was not.
You gotta put these on YouTube so we can see them.
I think there's a compilation coming, and I'm not sure if I'll be canceled after, but it's a high probability.
No, that'd be a good one. What's something viewers would be surprised to learn about how you make the show or shows?
I think the thing people are most surprised about when it comes to how we produce shows at CHCO-TV, especially when they come to the studio for the first time, is just how much we do with such a small space. When you think of, big productions in Hollywood, even there, they often take the set away at the end of the day. But we have this one studio. To us, it feels really big. It's inside the W.C. O'Neill Arena, and we push whatever we need to push out of the way to build a set for the day. And we have multiple sets we do in the same room. Setup can be an effort when you're going from one drastically different set to another, but we make the most with what we have. And
how big of an area do you have, actually?
Oh, gosh. I mean, the studio is about 50 by 30 square feet, so not overly big. We do what we can with what we've got, and every once in a while we just paint a wall and try something new.
Nice.
And the other would be that there are just 4 of us that work there full time. So we have, we bought the St. Croix Courier, the newspaper, a couple years ago to save it from dying. It's been a tough time for newspapers, I think, around the world. So I think you'd be surprised to know that it's a team of 4 people and a lot of dedicated volunteers from the community that help out in keeping local news alive for both the TV station and the newspaper. It's pretty incredible to see a small community really be there to save its own local news.
Yeah, that was another question I was going to ask you, all the things that you do, like all the things with the Courier and videos.
Yeah, I mean, I think this day and age, you have to do so many things just to keep a news outlet. I mean, I say news outlet, we do so much more than that. All types of community programming alive. And it was a struggle enough just to keep the TV station alive when you see people are getting rid of cable. So we've got to have our online presence. We have a good presence on YouTube for CHCO-TV. That also reaches our American friends. So we have a lot of Americans that either maybe they summer in New Brunswick or they live in Calais, your sister community. So they watch on YouTube a lot of the time. But it was when, so I think I was always digitally savvy because you have to be when you run a small outlet to compete with the bigger outlets. That's how I met you through What's Happening in Washington County. I wanted to be able to reach the Americans that care so much about our part of the world, so I would post in your group, and that's how I met you. So I was always trying to find ways to reach our audience, to deal with the conglomerates we have in Canada that really monopolize the news and media scene. And when the Courier died, that was because a couple years ago in Canada, we actually have a news block on Facebook and Instagram due to a battle between really Mark Zuckerberg and the federal government. The federal government wanting Meta to compensate news outlets. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, but I'll tell you this. And if Mark Zuckerberg is listening, I do have a message for him too.
I will definitely promote that.
It has been devastating to our country in terms of local news outlets dying because the big conglomerates can hang in there. The little papers, because of this news block. Facebook and Instagram, news outlets don't love that they have to use them. When the platforms change how people get information, we all have to figure it out. So we do. So many small outlets were using Facebook pages, groups. Like you and I know, we've both been savvy to those forever because it's how you've got to reach people when you're a small outlet, and these are the changing times. But when Meta blocked news in Canada on its platforms, I can't even see American news. It's one thing if they want to block Canadian news. I can't even see the New York Times on Facebook from Canada. I can't see anything, and I can't see my own page. So it's visible to you, but if you're wondering why I don't post on CHCO television anymore on Facebook and Instagram, it's because I can't see it. So I've been using my own page. So people have been following Vickie Hogarth, where I've using a workaround to trick Mark Zuckerberg. I just like blaming it on Mark Zuckerberg, the man, not the whole company. Meta, I should just say Meta. Yeah. But that was ultimately the last nail in the coffin that killed the Courier. It's hard to come back from. It's hard to get people to go to a site when you're blocked on the main platform they're using. So we knew we could resurrect it, though. We knew that if we put what it needed, which is more really local reporting, and use our workarounds to let people know we've bought the Courier and we're going to try to save it. But that, it has been an extra stress for the last couple years reviving the Courier. It wasn't something we ever planned to buy a newspaper, but that's because you care about your community, and our news outlets are what tell our stories. We don't want to outsource that to other outlets that live in cities far away. These are our stories. They matter to us, so we should be telling them.
I think a lot of local people that are been around a long time are happy that it's coming back.
Well, I know. I was excited to come here today and talk about it just for these reasons. You don't really hear the stories about a newspaper coming to life again, so it's nice to have some good news.
Our owner was excited.
It was fun to talk to Bill. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit. Who's been your most unforgettable guest, and what made them stand out?
I have to give props to my most unforgettable guest, and people who know me will know this, is James Mullinger, the comedian, because he has been a fan of CHCO since I've known him and since I've been a part of CHCO. He's been a real ambassador for us. He's featured us in his magazine, Edit Magazine. We're in the most recent issue, his winter issue of Maritime Edit, a 6-page feature on our little outlet. And he's a cheerleader for us. I don't know why. He just appreciates what local news does, and he's fast and quick on his feet, and he's a blast to have and just a joy to be around. We've had Sean McCann from Great Big Sea. Was memorable because he forced me to sing on television, which I just don't do. So
I usually ask people to sing.
Please don't. I just sang WKRP in Cincinnati to Bill. I don't know why. I will sing, but
What's your favorite song?
It depends on the moment. My favorite song, I'm going to do a confession that yesterday, Natalie Sturgeon, who is the editor-in-chief of The Courier, she and I had a stress break. We didn't have a lot of time. We had to be back at work. We drove around St. Andrews screaming, Celine Dion, it's all coming back to me now, which if you need a quick dose of therapy, it feels really good. Windows open.
I think you need to hear it.
That's the Canadian in me. Like, no, you don't want to hear it.
Okay.
My song choices change all the time. I mean, sometimes it's Peter Gabriel. Sometimes it's Billy Joel. I like the old stuff now. I'm getting I think I was a teenager in the 90s, so I think I stopped listening to new music after I stopped. I mean, I do listen to new music, but when I was an entertainment editor, I was really, really hip to what was new, and I'd get to hear it before most people would get the chance to hear it. They used to send, back in the day, they used to send us to hear the album months before it came out, and it was a real experience. So I was much more hip to music then, but now I'm just old and cranky, I think.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to get into more things at another time. But so if you could host a dream segment anywhere in the world, where would we be going?
If I could host a dream segment anywhere in the world, I mean, it's hard for me to just pick one place. So I think I'm going to pick a place I know well and love, which would be, I love Paris. That's dorky. I know. It's like the most cliche answer, but it really is a city that it lives up to expectations. And so every time I go back, it's just always magical. So I can't imagine going to Paris and being disappointed. So I think if I was going to do a fun show, everyone's in a good mood in Paris. Yeah. And the worst case scenario, if you do a bad job with the show, there's really good food you can have after to make yourself feel better.
Nice. All right. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten about connecting with an audience?
I think the obvious answer to say how to connect with an audience, it's different, I think, when I think about, because my beginning was as a writer. So I still kind of think as a writer all the time. And it's really about, for me, it's being as genuine as, I feel like if you care about what you're talking about, if you are really passionate, and if you like people, that's always going to come across, no matter what subject you approach, because there's something about someone's sincerity. Like if you care about the purpose of why you're telling the story, and it's not to impress people with your flowery language or what have you. I think the best storytellers really just tell the story and think about the person they're telling the story about. You don't really make it about yourself. You try to get to the heart of the story. And I think when I'm connecting with the subject, it's just listening.
When you get to
it's weird to be on this side. You know what I mean? I feel the pressure of my guests when I sit here, and it's kind of nice to be the person, the interviewee.
Now you know how they feel.
Yeah, and I think that's why I love doing interviews, because it gives you the sense of what does it feel like to be on the other side when I'm doing that. You're a great interviewer, by the way. I feel very comfortable. That's the other thing good. I would say is just like be yourself, as cliche as that sounds.
No, that's true.
It's the best way to connect with people. And I think just like leaning into...
Well, I can't really be myself.
Leaning into empathy, because if you can put yourself in other people's shoes, it's hard to not relate to someone, even someone whose point of view you might think you disagree with. If you can try to just picture the world through their lens, there's always something redeeming about someone, or a struggle they have that might explain why they're in the position they're in. And I think if you can really lean into empathy and be open to where anyone's coming from.
Well, it's their, they've thought about it, what they're going to say or what they want to say or how they feel. So somewhere in their background, they made this connection, and that's their opinion and their way of thinking.
And I will say my dad, who is a golf pro, so not at all in my industry at all, always gave me the advice. When I was, I started in print, like I said, so I was always nervous when I was a kid, I was very nervous in front of people. So he said, ask people about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. So if you're nervous, just keep throwing people questions and they'll keep talking. And it was a really good piece of advice, because I think that maybe pushed me along the lines of where I went with my life.
Yeah, so then you can talk to people and you can just ask them questions.
Yeah, and he just said everybody has a story. Everybody has a story.
That's true.
Maybe their story, when you look at it more closely, will explain a lot about who they are. And the last thing I would say is that always be open to changing your own mind. Even you might think you know where a story's going, but having heard someone else's perspective or a new piece of information, be open to enlightenment. It's something that is missing in this culture that we're living in right now. You should be able to talk to each other. I should be able to say, oh, that's an interesting piece of information, or I didn't see it that way. And that should be able to color my own ideas of
Yeah.
what's happening in the world, and we've
And
stopped
why do
being
they
able
think
to
that
connect.
way? Why do they think that way?
Yeah.
I always ask that. Like, I always think, like, why do they think that way?
And like that's why I really wanted to come today too, because I think our border community is so special and such a light at this time when there's so much division and polarization in the world. To have an invite to come sit down and bring my Canadian perspective
Yes.
across the border to your radio station here in Calais, Maine. What a privilege and what an honor and what an opportunity to show people that our two countries can get along.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
here in Calais and St. Stephen.
Absolutely.
But that's something. We could be the way forward. And I'm very proud to be a part of this community with an international parade that crosses the border with some people that live on one side and work on the other, because I think we are what Canada and the U.S. as neighbors are all about. We are the representation of how we know we are. And Ottawa and Washington are not Calais and St. Stephen. So this is just a beautiful honor to be here. So I really
Well, I
appreciate
thank you
it.
for being here. We can be a media bridge.
Yeah, let's do it.
let's bring
I'll
them
be
back
back next
together.
week, Lupe.
All right. So when you're not on camera, we talked a little bit about what you like to do. How do you recharge? By singing these songs?
Yesterday was a breakdown. I will not repeat on the radio today, but I do recommend singing anything by Celine Dion if you need to quickly do some quick therapy. But my daily therapy is going to the beach, going on a long walk around St. Andrews at the end of the day with my dog, and just being a part of nature. I think I spent so many years in a big city that when I moved home, and really wasn't planning on moving home, the thing that really struck me was that I forgot about tides. I forgot about stars. I forgot about just what it's like to see a deer's eyes at night. And for a second, you think it's like a person. And I had been really disconnected from that as much as it was a part of who I am. And reconnecting with that, there's not a day I take it for granted, because this part of the world is so beautiful that it was a life hack and a pure accident that I got to move home when I did. And the fact that I get to have my life here now and all these hopefully years ahead of me.
How many years ago was that?
10 years ago.
10 years ago, okay.
Yeah, so it's been a decade, and I haven't lost the thrill of just beachcombing.
I think having social media helped everything come together for you as far as videos and being able to promote the small station. And
it's everything to connect with groups like yours, What's Happening Washington County, to get the word out. We never have had a budget for marketing, so it's all word of mouth and connecting neighbor to neighbor. Luckily, we're rural New Brunswick and Maine, so connecting with your neighbors, sometimes it is joining a Facebook group or just going to a cafe and spreading word that way. It's been a super organic growth of the station. CHCO has been around for, I think we're 32 or 33 years old. But the paper, that's why we bought the paper. I mean, it's pre-Confederation. It existed before Canada did, so we had to buy the Courier.
Sounds, we definitely have a lot more to talk about.
I know. I was impressed by your presence online too, for that very reason, and I think that I think stations like yours and ours should get credit, because we do have to find ways to reach our audiences before anything, really. If you sense that there's a new way that people are getting information, we have to always be hip to that and be a part of it. Absolutely. And it's nice to connect with the community online as well.
All right, so what's the next big thing coming up for CHCO-TV?
Well, Lupe, the next big thing for CHCO-TV, I don't know if you noticed, but you're on it right now. It's called TV by the Sea. And my documentary director, who's right here in studio with me today, is filming us right now. And TV by the Sea is a look at how news is made in News Desert, in a small town with a nonprofit news team and a bunch of volunteers.
Am I on the first episode?
You're on
Second?
Our first international episode.
International, okay.
That's right.
I'll take it.
Yeah, we've been filming it for a while, and it's going to take a look. It'll be a beautiful show, because I think anyone from Washington County and Charlotte County is going to showcase this part of the world. Perfect. Will be the star of TV by the Sea. We'll be going behind the scenes everywhere we go, whether we're going to Campobello to cover Fog Fest, or going to see the Puffins. I just booked my trip. my puffin trip on Grand Manan this summer. Just booked it right before coming in here. So TV by the Sea will follow us or if we're covering municipal election, it'll be behind the scenes of how news is made. And I think it will demystify for a lot of people the struggle of a small news outlet, especially in a changing time. The digital world is always changing. For us, it's, streaming for TV is taking over. So how do we make sure that we are visible on streamers and all those kind of things? So you will see the trials and tribulations and the challenges and rewards of doing this kind of thing. So we are going to get
some bloopers in this thing?
The whole thing is a giant blooper. Just behind the scenes, and I think you'll laugh.
I should ask some different questions.
You'll laugh, you'll cry.
Next time.
Yes, so that is Jeff Lively is directing that. He's following us around like fly on the wall from everything we do. It's got that feel, the vibe of like the sitcom The Office, where we stop and talk to the camera and explain what's going on. But he's following us through everything. There are tears, there's laughter, there's hopefully no anger. I can't remember what I've done on camera already.
I gotta go use the bathroom. You wanna fuck?
Exactly. I don't know what I've been mic'd for, Lupe. It's very dangerous. But I'm always up for something new, something fun. And I think, what better way to show people how much they should value local news. And hopefully through this show, what I real hope is that I hope people in small towns like Calais or St. Stephen around North America will take inspiration from that to potentially set up their own news outlet. It doesn't take a lot. No. It just takes people who care. And we've found that the community really steps up to support it when they know it's about them, right? We're not leaving Charlotte County. We live here.
Yes.
And it means a lot to people these days when the reporters, the news people, live in their community and really focus on their community and don't just parachute in from a city when there's something big happening and leave.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Vickie Hogarth, CHCO-TV, and many other things. So what are the labels of other things that you do?
Oh, okay. I'm this news director of CHCO-TV and The Courier now.
Okay.
And I'm a proud dog mom to Maud. That's about all I do. It's a lifestyle and not a job. It really is.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lupe. This has been a pleasure.